You have some great points, both of you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I hope you had a great discussion. Now let's jump into the next question. In 2019, Chanel hired a white female head of diversity and inclusion, Fiona Pargetter. There was lots of discussion about whether or not a white woman would be the best choice to lead diversity and inclusion within any organization. Some questioned her white privilege and ability to understand challenges faced by the impacted communities. What are your thoughts about who should lead diversity and inclusion at any organization regarding gender, race, experience, disability, and anything else you can think of?
Here we go. Got to be the first one. This is a tough question for me because, you know, like the girl I mentioned, the woman I mentioned earlier, she was African American, and she just had a very strong opinion and perspective. When she left the company, I think they hired someone who's Asian. And I don't know if that's being done on purpose, right? I don't know if they're purposely saying we don't want to hire a white male or female to lead DEI. However, I feel like it could be discriminating to say that you shouldn't hire someone white. I think yes, it's hard it depends on their experiences, right? And their training. This is a tough one. I'll probably try to jump in when someone else says something because I'm a little torn. Because at the end of the day, I feel like we all have unique experiences, and if there should be a trial period, maybe a trial period to see, you know, the people that they bring in. I don't know. I'll come back to this one.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in so we can spice it up a bit with going in and out of order. It's like interesting to see like the situational moments that it can be, like if a company just got like blown up on social media or something and they're like, oh my gosh, we need to just hire like somebody to fit this, and then it's the reverse where it's like they have an all white team and then they're just like, let's throw some black in there and like hire somebody there and say like, yes, that works, and you're like, no, we shouldn't be doing that. But if the company then has like a history of, you know, walking the walk, or even though I hate that phrase, but it's like at least it makes sense for the people. But if they also are able to say like, no, in other positions we have like already have this diverse executive leadership and things, or we have a supportive team that's going to be able to work in, and this person has a history of it and this was clearly the best candidate, great. Or if you sit and look through the interview process and it's like, did you only interview white women? Like, is that all you looked at, or was there a mix and this person like stood out? Because I've worked with amazing white women who have been leaders in the DIMB space, and they are able to sit and kind of like recognize how they hold space, how they're creating space, the way that their team works. They're very intentional with how they build their teams and are able to show like the receipts of what they're doing. And I'm like, great, cool, if you're doing that. But if it's not just like you picking up and throwing somebody. So I feel like it's more so the experience of like what your interview process is like and who the candidates are that you've brought in and what you're looking for, and who is also helping with the decision of who is the final person being there. So if she just like ended up being there because you didn't do the work and stuff, then we have a problem. But if you actually were able to like show that you're aware of, you know, the privilege and what it's going to look like and how you can communicate amongst your team and the initiatives that you're thinking about, then I see no issue with it.
Yeah, I think for me, you know, this question kind of brings two things to mind. One is, you know, I don't want to limit the scope of D&I to race. And I think it's typically what companies do because it's the easiest, it's the most visible, right? It's easy to count people differently by race. But, you know, I think about if I want someone in a D&I space, I want someone who has a holistic opinion. And white people can have that, right? I want someone with different ability levels, like you said, like was mentioned, experience. I would love to work with a transgender professional in the D&I space to understand the nuances there, because frankly, I don't have firsthand experience. And I know that I work with a lot of transgender team members at Airbnb. And so I think their needs may not be met. So for me, if, you know, a D&I professional is brought in, I I would notice and recognize if they were white. I don't know if the pause would be, oh, they're white, you know, should they be doing this? It's more about, again, what are the qualifications? What are the experience? And even more so, what's your approach? Are you leading with empathy? Are you listening? Are you taking feedback? Because I've seen typically D&I professionals come in and think they know what the problem is and go to solution, rather than sit back and actually listen to the team and listen to what's needed. So that's the one piece. The other piece that I mentioned before I struggle with is, a lot of times, again, we jump to having, you know, a black or brown face in a D&I space. And for me, it feels like, well, this is your problem, so y'all fix it. Not recognizing that diversity and inclusion in all those, you know, areas impact everybody. I don't want it. I don't want a workplace where, you know, everyone just plays nice and we don't have conversations. One of the most frustrating things is whenever there's an issue or an incident of racial violence coming into work meetings and no one addressing it, senior leaders not addressing it. You know, the day after when I wrote that letter, I talked about what prompted the letter was the day after the George Floyd shooting, we had an all hands meeting and our C-suite leader didn't address it. And I'm sitting here like, I'm a complete wreck. I can't focus at work. And my senior leader is in an all hands meeting with 100 and some people and didn't say one word about it, right? Now, and some people might say, well, you didn't have a bad experience. No one microaggressed you. No one said anything, but that's only half the battle. And so I get very wary about, our D&I leaders have to fit this mold, or they should be black or brown, because I hear that a lot. I talk about not being the face. Anytime issues of that are coming up, oh, Sherron, do you want to lead? No, I don't want to lead. Because the only reason you're asking me is because you feel like this is a problem that only affects me and mine, so I'm supposed to go and fix it. So I always want to help and support the work, and I have led large initiatives at other companies, at Target, when I worked in Boston, but I can't. If the reason you want me to do this is because you feel like I inherently should have a passion for it because I'm black, hard pass on that. That's how I feel.